Welcome to the Aid Station. I'm Chris Robb, and today delighted to be heading off to London where we meet Hannah Clarke, who's the events director of Limelight Sports. Great to see you, Hannah. How are you?
Hi, Chris. Yeah, very well, thank you. Good to be here.
Wonderful. You just told me you've had a wonderful bank holiday weekend and the weather's glorious, and that's great to hear, getting people out and about and active. I'd love to start by hearing a little bit about your background, please, the Hannah Clarke story, I guess.
Sure. Um, I come from a very sporty family, so I've always been massively into taking part in sport and watching sport. So for me, it was always a bit of a desire that that would be what I get into in the future. So funnily enough, I started off as a PE teacher, sports teacher in a school, and thinking that was probably the only route I could go down after some very narrow advice from my teachers, and quickly realized that actually there was a whole massive world out there of sport that I could get involved with. So moved into, was very lucky that there was an opportunity that came up at the Lawn Tennis Association, and moved into their events team and worked on the professional side of sport. So on the senior women's tour and Davis Cup events, which was really exciting and great to see behind the scenes and get involved in managing spectators as opposed to participants, which was an amazing opportunity. And then when the time came to move on, I found myself at Limelight Sports, where I've been for the last 13 years. And rather than looking at professional sportsmen and women and spectators, it's all about the participants and creating amazing experiences for them, which is really exciting. And actually, the thing I love about it most is just the variety and the different types of campaigns that we run, and just having an opportunity to do something that's really authentic and about more than just sport. It's about lifestyle and healthy living, and creating really accessible and amazing events for people. So 13 years I've been at Limelight. Started off in the production team, designing the sites, villages and race routes, and now I'm heading up the events team, and which I love, because it's a really great opportunity to kind of have my fingers in all of the different areas, and managing a really amazing team of people who are equally passionate about sport. And I feel pretty lucky that I've managed to end up in a company where, there's so much, people really live for what they do. It's not just a job, it's more than that. And you can really feel that when you're working with people, and how, you go the extra mile to really do some great campaigns.
That's
So
wonderful.
yes, yeah.
Wonderful. Well, that's a great story. And I think that's what we're so lucky in our industry. There's so many people, it's their passion. And we were talking earlier about, you've been out trail running this weekend, which is, I guess, a great opportunity. What's life like at the moment under the COVID environment where you live?
Well, it's certainly challenging times that everyone across the world is feeling, and it's very different. I live outside of London, and our office is based in central London, and my normal day is probably 3 hours of commuting in total, and now I don't have to commute. I'm working from home, and all of a sudden I've got 3 hours extra in my day where I can get out and exercise, and actually in the UK at the moment we're still in lockdown, but we're allowed to exercise as much as we like, which has been really amazing, and for me is sort of the tonic I need on a daily basis to get out and get away from the computer screen, and hit the trails, or get on my bike and go for a cycle. And I have to admit, I was sort of, I normally love working from home, but it's 1 or 2 days a week every so often, as opposed to every day. I don't have children in the house buzzing around to distract me from my screen. So I was thinking, well, it might be quite tough to get that balance and to move away from my screen. The temptation when it's in your house is to be focusing on it the whole time, but actually, setting new ways of working and getting a balance has been really important for me. And making sure I have a routine of getting out a couple of times a day and into the hills just to blow the cobwebs away and clear my head has been great. So really
Sounds
just
great.
making the most of it.
Yeah, that sounds great. And is there anything you've learned about yourself that you didn't expect to see whilst you've been in this situation?
Um, well, I think it's just how adaptable you can be, and we sort of thrive on working really closely with people and seeing people face to face and having that daily join up. And actually what's been really surprising is how we've been able to maintain that same level of communication, and how I spend so much of my time working really closely with my team, and just having those questions that just come out of nowhere that when you're sitting in a room with people, they're more inclined to ask, and you can support. But actually, even though I'm not in a room with those people, those conversations can still happen, and you can still be as connected, which if you'd asked me 4 months ago, if you could take our team and base everyone from home, I'd been very skeptical about it, and would have said that I think we would have lost a lot of our working really closely together. But it's not transpired like that at all, which has been a really uh, positive surprise, really.
Mm. Gee, that's great to hear. So what have been some of the challenges? How many in your team, and I guess managing those and other challenges that you've had? What have been some of the challenges during the period?
Well, we've actually furloughed quite a large percentage of our team. So in the events team itself, we have 12 of us, and there's now 2 of us that are still working, and the rest of the team are furloughed. So obviously the challenges are to make sure that we're keeping the plate spinning on making sure that we're well positioned to hit the ground running when we know that we're able to start delivering events again. But at the same time, even though we've got a number of people furloughed, it's making sure that we're keeping in regular contact with them. So whilst they're not allowed to be working at the moment, it's really important that we're still engaging with them on a personal level, and making sure that they're doing well and they're still engaged, and that they too are ready when the time comes. Because actually the difficult thing is that if they're not working for a couple of weeks and then you suddenly pull them back in, are they going to be redding or raring? And so we spent a lot of time as a whole company really trying to make sure we have loads of opportunities to chat to them and do fun things together, whether we're doing exercise classes through Zoom or baking or quizzes. So that's been a really key thing. But obviously one of the big challenges for our team is looking at the calendar and seeing what campaigns can still take place this year and what they might look like. And I think for me, that's been one of the biggest challenges, is obviously seeing things being postponed to next year or to later in the year. We've pushed a number of events back to September, and we're still looking at the autumn events to try and hopefully they'll happen. But whether they happen in the same way is we don't know. And of course, there's been loads of conversations about social distancing and how you adapt events, and we've been spending a lot of time looking at our campaigns and seeing how we might be able to adapt them, but trying to really focus on them to make sure that we, in adding measures to take on board social distancing guidelines, is that we don't lose that important experience, and we keep the events really authentic and offering what it is that people have signed up to in the first place. So and giving reassuring messages to those participants as well. So there's been a lot of work, and it's challenging because you're having to make assumptions about what it might look like, and of course nobody knows what it might look like.
More questions than answers at the moment, isn't it? I think that's
exactly.
And I guess that's taken a lot of leadership from you, from part of your team and your organization. I mean, I'm a huge fan of Craig. I think he's a great leader, and I'd love to get some sense of, from your perspective, what have been some of the leadership keys that have helped you to lead your team? Who do you take a cue from? Have you got any great leaders that you've learned lessons from over the years, and what have been some of those key leadership decisions that you've made?
Yeah, well, I mean, you mentioned Craig, our chief exec, and actually, he's been incredible over the last few months, really leading from the front. And it's amazing how much you learn about yourselves and about your business when you come up against such a major challenge. And he's really sort of led our team and really been very honest and open with his communication. And I think that has really inspired the whole team to have that approach, being open about how the business is going to progress or what it means for everybody. Just means that we can all focus on what's at hand and not be worrying about unknowns that we can't control. And those key leadership qualities are sort of fed down through the whole team, and also in terms of how we liaise with our wider team. So not just Limelight employees, but our key suppliers and our really important relationships with stakeholders, who venues and councils, and also our clients as well. So if we can operate in with real integrity and honesty, then that we get that back from the wider team that we're working with. So he's really sort of inspired me from that side of things. And Tom Carey, our chief operating officer, I've worked really closely with him for the whole time I've been at Limelight, and he has the same messaging and is really supportive, and someone that when I'm trying to focus on the team and really motivate them and keep them engaged, I can use him as a sounding board to bounce ideas around. And it's just nice because you can speak quite frankly and be quite open and honest. And I think now is the time when you've got to feel like you're not being unable to say what you want or talk about what's worrying you. You need to be really open and communicate really well. So I think those are the key things.
The open, honest communication. It's amazing how often that's come up over the course of the last 6 weeks on the aid station. So many leaders saying, got to facilitate that and accept it and support it. So in terms of ending, I mean, Craig is an inspiring leader, but what inspirational story might you have to share with people that are watching, whether it be, I mean, you've seen so much inspiration in your events, I'm sure, in your life, but is there one particular story that stands out that you'd like to share, or something that inspires you on a daily basis?
Well, I mean, we were just talking before, this is a really challenging time, but there's also a lot of silver linings that are coming out from it, and you can learn so much by the different challenges we face. And we were just saying that I was out for a cycle yesterday, and the number of people that are out on bikes and getting out into the outdoors is quite outstanding to the levels of the London Olympic year, and that can only serve as a real positive for our industry, there's a new untapped audience that we can encourage to come and join in our events, and can really see that actually it's not about necessarily emulating their heroes. They're recognizing the real health benefits of taking part in sports, and the amazing experience they get from it. And so we're now going to be able to create opportunities for them to explore it further than perhaps just pottering around on their bike in the town. So, for me, that's really important, and it is really inspiring and encouraging. So
Wonderful, isn't it? And the stories I'm hearing from all over the world, it's families as well. You're seeing so many parents out with their kids, and so it's the future generations, and it's getting young kids active at an early age. It's wonderful. Hannah, it's been so fantastic to talk to you. Thanks for making the time, and obviously all the very best as you go on this journey with this kind of never-ending finish line, isn't it? That's the challenge at the moment. Is when do we reach in marathon parlance? When is that finish line going to be sure? But hopefully there's some certainty soon. And yeah, wish you all the best, and thank you so much for your time.
yeah, thanks, Chris. Really good to chat.